The Iliad by Homer, Book 6. You're listening to Classics Made Clear, classic texts translated with accuracy and accessibility for today's listener. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share these videos with your friends. The grim clash between the Trojans and the Achaeans was left to itself, and the fighting swayed this way and that across the plain. The warriors drove their bronze spears at each other in the space between the rivers, Xanthos and Simois. First Telamonian Ajax, the great wall of the Achaeans, broke the Trojan ranks and brought hope to his companions. He struck down the man who was the best among the Thracians, Acamas, the huge and mighty son of Eusauros. Ajax hurled his spear and struck the crest of Acamas's horse-haired helmet. The bronze point fixed in his forehead and drove through the bone, and darkness covered his eyes. Then Diomedes, strong in the war cry, killed Achilles, the son of Teuthras, who lived in well-built Arisbe. He was rich and loved by all people, because his house stood beside the road, and he welcomed everyone who passed by. But none of those he had helped came to stand before Diomedes and hold back the sad destruction. Diomedes took the life of both Achilles and his companion Calesios, who was driving the horses. The two of them went down into the earth together. Euryalus killed Dressos and Opheltios, and then went after Aesopus and Pedasus. These two had once been born to the blameless Bucolion by the river nymph Abarbar. Bucolion himself was the son of proud Laomedon, the eldest by birth, though his mother had conceived him secretly. While tending his sheep, he lay with the nymph and loved her, and she became pregnant and gave birth to twin sons. But now Euryalus, the son of Megisteus, broke their strength and their shining limbs, and stripped the armor from their shoulders. Polypoetes, fierce in battle, killed Astyalos, and Odysseus killed Pedites of Percote. Euryalus, the son of Megisteus, stripped the armor from their shoulders. Polypoetes, fierce in battle, killed Astyalos. Odysseus killed Pedites of Percote with his bronze spear, and Teucros struck down noble Aretaon. Antilochus, the son of Nestor, killed Ableros with his shining spear. The lord of men, Agamemnon, killed Elatos, who lived by the banks of the beautiful river Satnioeis in steep Pedasos. Leitos the warrior caught Phylacus as he tried to run away, and Eurypylos killed Melanthios. Then Menelaos, strong in the war cry, captured Adrestos alive. His two horses had bolted across the plain and crashed into a tamarisk bush. The curved chariot was broken at the end of the pole, and the horses ran off toward the city, where many others were fleeing in fear. Adrestos himself was thrown out of the chariot beside the wheel and fell head first into the dust. Menelaos, the son of Atreus, stood over him with his long spear in his hand. Adrestos grabbed Menelaos by the knees and begged him, "Take me alive, son of Atreus, and accept a worthy ransom. In my rich father's house there are many treasures stored up, bronze, gold, and finely worked iron. My father would gladly give you a great ransom if he heard that I was alive beside the ships of the Achaeans." So he spoke, and he persuaded the heart inside Menelaos. Menelaos was just about to hand him over to a companion to lead back to the fast Achaean ships. But Agamemnon came running up to him and spoke sharply. "Dear brother Menelaos, why are you showing such kindness to these men? Did the Trojans treat you well in your own house? No. Let not one of them escape sudden destruction." Agamemnon said that none should escape death at their hands, not even the unborn child still carried in a mother's womb. Let every person in Ilion perish, wiped out and unmourned. With these words the hero turned the heart of his brother, urging what he thought was right. Menelaus pushed the warrior Adrestos away from him, and powerful Agamemnon stabbed him in the side. As Adrestos fell, twisting to the ground, Agamemnon planted his heel on his chest and pulled the ash spear back out. Then Nestor shouted loudly to the Argives, "Friends, heroes of the Danans, servants of Ares, let no one hang back now, thinking about plunder and hoping to carry the most spoil back to the ships. First let us kill the men. Afterward, at your leisure, you can strip the bodies of the dead across the plain." So he spoke, and stirred the courage and strength in every man. Then the Trojans would have fled back inside the walls of Ilion, overcome with fear of the war-loving Achaeans, if Priam's son Helenos, far the best of the bird readers, had not come forward and spoken to Aeneas and Hector. "Hector and Aeneas, on you more than anyone rests the burden of the Trojans and the Lycians, because you are the best in every way, both in thought and in battle. Stand your ground here, move through the army, and hold the people steady in front of the gates, before they run back into the arms of their wives and become a joy to our enemies. After you have urged all the battalions to stand firm, the rest of us will stay here and fight the Danaans, even though we are worn down. Necessity presses us. But you, Hector, go back to the city and speak to your mother and mine. Tell her to gather the honored women together." He said that Hector should go to the temple of bright-eyed Athena on the high citadel. There Hector's mother should open the doors of the sacred chamber with the key and take a robe from the house, whichever one seems to her the largest and most beautiful, the one she loves the most. She should place it on the knees of lovely-haired Athena, and promise that in the temple she will sacrifice 12 young heifers that have never been broken to the yoke, if the goddess will have pity on the city of Troy, on the Trojan wives, and on their small children. Perhaps the goddess will keep away from holy Ilion, the son of Tydeus, that fierce spear fighter, the strong man, who fills others with fear. Helenos said that this man was now the greatest of all the Achaeans. They had never feared even Achilles so much, though he was said to be the son of a goddess. But this man was raging wildly, and no one could match his strength in battle. So he spoke, and Hector did not disobey his brother. At once he leapt down from his chariot in full armor. Shaking his 2 sharp spears, he moved through the army everywhere, urging the men to fight and stirring up the terrible battle again. The Trojans turned and stood firm against the Achaeans. The Argives fell back and stopped their killing, thinking that one of the immortals must have come down from the starry sky to help the Trojans, so suddenly had they rallied. Then Hector raised his voice and shouted loudly to the Trojans, "Trojans, proud warriors, and famous allies, be strong, my friends, and remember your fierce courage while I go back to Ilion. I will speak to the elders who give counsel and to our wives, so they may pray to the gods and promise them a sacrifice of hundreds of oxen." After saying this, Hector of the shining helmet turned and left. The rim of Hector's great shield, heavy with a boss in the center, struck against his ankles as he went. Then Glaucus, the son of Hippolochus, and the son of Tydeus came forward into the space between the 2 armies, eager to fight. When they had come close to each other, Diomedes, strong in the war cry, spoke first. "Who are you among mortal men, brave warrior? I have never seen you before in the battle where men win glory. Yet now you have come far ahead of all others in your courage, standing your ground against my long, shadowing spear. Unhappy are the fathers whose sons face my strength in battle. But if you are one of the immortals who have come down from heaven. I will not fight against the gods of the sky." Even the powerful son of Dryas, Lycurgos, did not live long after he fought with the gods. Once he chased the nurses of raging Dionysos down the sacred hill of Nysa. As they were struck by the murderous Lycurgos with his ox goad, they dropped their sacred staffs onto the ground. Dionysos himself fled in fear and plunged beneath the waves of the sea, and Thetis received him in her arms, trembling with fear because of the man's fierce attack. The gods who live at ease were angry with Lycurgos, and the son of Cronos struck him blind. After that, he did not live long, because he had become hated by all the immortal gods. So I would not fight with the blessed gods. But if you are one of the mortals who eat the fruit of the earth, then come closer, so that you may quickly reach the end of your life." Then the shining son of Hippolochos answered him, "Great-hearted son of Tydeus, why do you ask about my family line? As the generations of leaves are, so are the generations of men. The wind scatters some leaves onto the ground, while the forest grows others again. Just as the forest puts out new leaves when spring returns, so it is with people. One generation grows while another passes away. But if you truly want to know my family line, so that you may understand it clearly, though many men already know it, I will tell you. There is a city called Ephyra in the corner of horse-raising Argos. There lived Sisyphos, the most cunning of men, the son of Aiolos. Sisyphos had a son named Glaucus, and Glaucus in turn fathered noble Bellerophontes. The gods gave Bellerophontes beauty and strong manhood, but Proitos, in anger, planned evil against him and drove him out of his land, because Bellerophontes was far stronger, and Zeus had given Proitos rule over the Argives under his royal power. Then the wife of Proitos, beautiful Antea, fell in love with Bellerophontes and wanted to lie with him in secret. But she could not persuade him, for Bellerophontes was honorable and refused her. So she lied and spoke to King Proitos. "Either you must die, Proitos, or kill Bellerophontes, because he tried to lie with me in love, though I did not want it." When the king heard this, anger seized him. Yet he would not kill Bellerophontes himself, because he feared to do such a thing in his heart. Instead, he sent him away to Lycia. He gave him deadly signs written on a folded tablet, many marks meant to bring death, and told him to show them to his father-in-law, so that he would be killed. So Bellerophontes went to Lycia under the blameless guidance of the gods. When he arrived in Lycia by the flowing river Xanthos, the king of wide Lycia welcomed him warmly. For 9 days he entertained him as a guest and sacrificed 9 oxen. But when the 10th dawn appeared with rosy fingers, the king then began to question him and asked to see the message he carried from his son-in-law, Proitos. After the king received the deadly message from his son-in-law, he first ordered Bellerophontes to kill the chimera. This creature was not human, but of divine kind, lion in the front, snake behind, and a goat in the middle. And it breathed out the terrible strength of blazing fire. But Bellerophontes killed it, trusting in the signs given by the gods. Next he fought against the famous Solimoi, and he said that this was the hardest battle he ever fought with men. Third, he killed the Amazons, the warrior women who fight like men. When Bellerophontes was returning, the king planned another trick against him. He chose the bravest men from wide Lycia and set them in an ambush. But none of them ever returned home, because blameless Bellerophontes killed them all. Then the king realized that Bellerophontes truly came from the line of a god. So he kept him there and gave him his daughter in marriage. He also granted him half of all the honor of the kingdom. The people of Lycia set aside a special piece of land for him, better than all the others, good land for orchards and ploughing. His wife bore 3 children to brave Bellerophontes, Isandros, Hippolochos, and Laodamea. Laodamea lay with wise Zeus, and she gave birth to godlike Sarpedon of the bronze helmet. But later, Bellerophontes became hated by all the gods, so he wandered alone across the Alaean plain, eating his heart out in grief and avoiding the paths where people walk. His son Isandros was killed by Ares, who is never satisfied with battle, while fighting the famous Solimoi. His daughter was killed by golden-reined Artemis in anger. Hippolochos became my father, and I say that I am his son. He sent me to Troy and warned me many times with strong advice. Always be the bravest, he told me, and stand above the others. Do not bring shame on the line of your fathers, who were the greatest men, both in Ephyre and in wide Lycia. That is the family and blood that I claim to come from. When he finished speaking, Diomedes of the great war cry was glad. He drove his spear into the rich earth and spoke kindly to the leader of the people. Now I see that you are an old guest friend of my family. Long ago the noble Oeneus welcomed blameless Bellerophontes into his halls and kept him there as a guest for 20 days. The 2 of them exchanged fine gifts. Oeneus gave him a belt shining with red dye, and Bellerophontes gave him a golden double-handled drinking cup. I left that cup behind in my house when I set out on this journey. I do not remember Tydeus well, because I was still a small child when he left me, back when the army of the Achaeans was destroyed at Thebes. So now I am your friend and host in the land of Argos, and you will be mine in Lycia whenever I come to your country. Let us avoid each other's spears, even in the thick of battle. There are many Trojans and famous allies for me to kill, whoever the god allows me to catch with my feet, and there are many Achaeans for you to strike down, if you are able. But let us exchange our armor, so that these others may know that we claim to be guest friends from the time of our fathers. So they spoke. Then they both jumped down from their chariots, grasped each other's hands, and pledged friendship. But Zeus, the son of Cronos, took away the good sense of Glaucus, who exchanged his golden armor with Diomedes for bronze, gold worth 100 oxen, for bronze worth only 9. Meanwhile Hector came to the Scaean gates and the oak tree. All around Hector, the wives and daughters of the Trojans came running, asking about their sons, their brothers, their relatives, and their husbands. He told each of them to pray to the gods in turn, though for many of them sorrow was already waiting. Then he came to the beautiful palace of Priam, built with smooth stone colonnades. Inside were 50 sleeping rooms made of polished stone, built close beside one another. In these, the sons of Priam slept, each beside his own wedded wife. On the opposite side of the courtyard were 12 other chambers, also built of smooth stone and standing close together. In these slept the sons-in-law of Priam, each beside his honored wife, the daughters of the king. There his generous mother came to meet him, leading Laodice with her, the most beautiful of her daughters. She clasped his hand, called him by name, and spoke to him. "My child, why have you come here and left the fierce battle? Surely the hateful sons of the Achaeans are pressing you hard as they fight around the city. Your heart must have driven you to come here to the high place of the city and lift your hands in prayer to Zeus. But wait here while I bring you sweet wine, so that you may pour a drink offering first to Father Zeus and to the other immortals. Then you yourself may drink and gain strength. For wine gives strength again to a tired man, and you must be weary from fighting to defend your people." Then great Hector of the shining helmet answered her, "Honored mother, do not offer me the sweet wine, in case it weakens my strength and makes me forget my courage. And with unwashed hands I would feel shame to pour a drink offering of shining wine to Zeus. A man cannot pray to the dark-clouded son of Kronos while he is unclean and stained with blood and dirt. But you should go to the temple of warrior Athena. Gather the honored women and bring offerings with you. Take a robe, the one that seems to you the largest and most beautiful in the house, the one that is dearest to you, and place it on the knees of lovely-haired Athena. Promise that in her temple you will sacrifice 12 young heifers that have never been broken to the yoke, if she will have pity on the city of Troy, on the Trojan wives, and on their small children, and if she will hold back from sacred Ilion, the son of Tydeus, that fierce spear fighter, the strong man who brings terror to others. So you go to the temple of warrior Athena. I will go to find Paris and call him, if he will listen to anything I say. I wish the earth would open beneath him. The Olympian god has raised him to be a great disaster for the Trojans, for mighty Priam, and for all his children. If I could see him go down into the house of Hades, then I would say that my heart had finally forgotten its sorrow." So Hector spoke. His mother went into the great house and called out to her servants, and they gathered the honored women from all across the city. Then she went down into the fragrant storeroom. There lay many beautifully woven robes, the work of women from Sidon. Godlike Alexandros had brought these from Sidon when he sailed across the wide sea on the journey when he carried off noble Helen. Hecabe chose one of the robes and took it as a gift for Athena. It was the largest and the most beautifully embroidered of them all, shining like a star, and it lay at the bottom beneath the others. She went out carrying it, and many noble women hurried after her. When they reached the temple of Athena on the high citadel, Theano of the fair cheeks opened the doors for them. She was the daughter of Chryseis and the wife of Antenor, the tamer of horses, and the Trojans had appointed her to be the priestess of Athena. All the women lifted their hands to Athena with a loud cry. Then Theano took the robe and laid it on the knees of lovely-haired Athena. As she prayed, she called out to the daughter of great Zeus, "Lady Athena, defender of our city, shining among goddesses, break the spear of Diomedes, and grant that he fall face down before the Skyan gates. Then we will at once sacrifice 12 young heifers in your temple, yearlings that have never been broken to the yoke, if you will have pity on the city of Troy, on the Trojan wives, and on their small children." So she prayed, but Pallas Athena turned her head away. While the women prayed to the daughter of mighty Zeus, Hector went to the house of Alexandros, that is Paris. It was a fine house that Paris himself had built with the help of the best craftsmen in fertile Troy. They had made him a chamber, a hall, and a courtyard near the homes of Priam and Hector on the high citadel. Hector, beloved of Zeus, entered the house holding his spear, which was 11 cubits long. The bronze spearhead at the tip shone brightly, and a ring of gold was fastened around it. He found Paris in his chamber, busy with his beautiful armor, his shield, his breastplate, and the curved bow that he turned in his hands. Nearby sat Helen of Argos among her servant women, directing their fine handiwork. When Hector saw him, he rebuked him with harsh words. "Strange man, it is not right for you to keep this anger in your heart. The people are dying around the city and around the steep walls. And it is because of you that this war, with all its shouting, has flared up around our city. You yourself would rebuke another man if you saw him shrinking away from hateful battle? Come then, rise up, before our city is quickly burned in the blazing fire." Then godlike Alexandros answered him, "Hector, since you have reproached me rightly and not beyond what is fair, I will tell you the truth. So listen and understand. It was not out of anger or resentment toward the Trojans that I sat in my chamber. I wished to give myself over to grief. But now my wife, with gentle words, has stirred me toward the battle, and it seems to me that this is better. Victory moves back and forth among men. So stay a moment while I put on my armor for war, or go ahead and I will follow. I think I can catch up with you." He spoke, but Hector of the shining helmet gave him no answer. Then Helen spoke to him with gentle words, "Brother by marriage to me, shameless, evil-scheming creature that I am. I wish that on the day my mother first bore me, a violent storm, wind had carried me away and swept me to the mountains, or into the crashing waves of the loud, roaring sea, where the waters might have taken me before these things ever happened. But since the gods have ordained these terrible things, I wish I had been the wife of a better man than this one, a man who understood shame and the reproach of other people. But this man's heart is not steady now, nor will it be in the future. I think he will one day pay for it. But come now. Come inside and sit on this chair, my brother, since the burden of hard work has fallen most heavily on your heart because of me, shameless as I am, and because of the folly of Alexandros. Upon us both Zeus has placed a bitter fate, so that we may become a song for men yet to come." Then great Hector of the shining helmet answered her, "Helen, do not ask me to sit, though you care for me. You will not persuade me. My heart is already urging me to go and defend the Trojans, who feel my absence greatly when I am away. But rouse this man instead, and let him hurry also, so that he may catch up with me while I am still inside the city. For I am going first to my own house, so that I may see my family, my beloved wife and my little son. I do not know whether I will ever return to them again, or whether the gods will soon bring me down beneath the hands of the Achaeans." So speaking, Hector of the shining helmet departed. Quickly he came to his well-built house, but he did not find Andromache of the white arms inside. She had gone with the child and a finely dressed attendant to stand upon the tower, weeping and lamenting. When Hector saw that his noble wife was not in the house, he stood on the threshold and spoke to the handmaidens. "Come now, tell me the truth, servants. Where has Andromache of the white arms gone from the house? Has she gone to one of her husband's sisters, or to the wives of his brothers? Or has she gone to the temple of Athena, where the other lovely-haired women of Troy try to appease the terrible goddess?" Then the careful housekeeper answered him, "Hector, since you command me to speak the truth, she has not gone to any of her husband's sisters, nor to the wives of his brothers, nor to the temple of Athena, where the other lovely-haired women of Troy try to appease the terrible goddess. Instead, she has gone to the great tower of Ilion, because she heard that the Trojans were being pressed hard, and that the strength of the Achaeans was growing." So the housekeeper spoke. Hector hurried from the house and went back the way he had come, through the well-built streets. When he reached the Scaean gates, where the road led out toward the plain, his richly gifted wife came running to meet him, Andromache, the daughter of great-hearted Aetion. Aetion had ruled the Cilician people in Thebe beneath wooded Mount Plakos, and it was his daughter who had been given in marriage to Hector of the shining bronze helmet. She came toward him, and with her went an attendant carrying their child in her arms, a small and tender baby, Hector's beloved son, beautiful as a shining star. Hector himself called the boy Scamandrios, but everyone else called him Astyanax, lord of the city, because Hector alone protected Ilion. Hector smiled quietly when he saw his son, but Andromache stood close beside him, weeping. She clasped his hand, called him by name, and spoke to him. "My dear one, your own courage will destroy you. You have no pity for your little child, or for me, the unfortunate woman who will soon be your widow. For the Achaeans will soon gather together and kill you. For me it would be better to go down into the earth if I lose you. There will be no comfort left for me when you meet your fate. Only sorrow. I have no father now, and no honored mother. Great Achilles killed my father when he destroyed the well-built city of the Cilicians, Thebe with the high gates, and struck down Aetion. Yet he did not strip the armor from his body, for he felt reverence in his heart. But he burned his body with all its fine armor, and raised a burial mound over it. Around the grave, the mountain nymphs, daughters of Zeus, who holds the aegis, the sacred mantle, planted elm trees. I had 7 brothers in my father's house, and all of them went down into the house of Hades on the same day. Swift-footed Achilles killed them all while they were tending their slow-moving cattle and their shining sheep. And my mother, who ruled beneath wooded Mount Placos, Achilles brought her here along with the rest of his plunder. But later he released her for a great ransom. Yet Artemis of the showering arrows struck her down in her father's house. So Hector, you are father to me and my honored mother. You are my brother, and you are my young husband. Please have pity on me, and stay here on the wall. Do not leave your child an orphan and your wife a widow. Place the army beside the fig tree, where the city is most open to attack and the wall is easiest to climb. For 3 times the best of them have come there and tried to storm it. The 2 Iantes, famous Idomeneus, the sons of Atreus, and the strong son of Tydeus. Either someone well skilled in prophecy told them, or their own hearts drove them and urged them on. Then great Hector of the shining helmet answered her. All this weighs on my mind as well, my wife, but I would feel deep shame before the Trojans and the Trojan women with their trailing robes if I stayed away from battle like a coward. My heart will not allow it, since I have learned always to be brave and to fight among the front ranks of the Trojans, winning great glory for my father and for myself. For I know this well in my heart and in my mind. The day will come when sacred Ilion will perish, and Priam and the people of Priam with their strong ash spears. Yet it is not so much the coming sorrow of the Trojans that troubles me, not even the fate of Priam the king, or of Hecuba, nor of my many brave brothers who may fall in the dust beneath the hands of our enemies. What troubles me most is the thought of you, when some bronze-armored Achaean leads you away in tears, taking away your day of freedom. Then in Argos you may work at the loom for another woman, or carry water from the spring of Messes or Hypereia, though unwilling, forced by harsh necessity. And someone may say, when he sees you weeping, "This is the wife of Hector, who was the greatest fighter among the horse-taming Trojans when they fought around Ilion." So someone will say, "And for you it will be a fresh sorrow to be without the man who might have kept you from the day of slavery. But may the piled earth cover me in death before I hear your cries, or see you dragged away." So speaking, glorious Hector reached out his arms toward his child, but the boy shrank back into the bosom of the well-girdled nurse, crying out in fear at the sight of his father. He was frightened by the bronze armor and the horsehair crest that nodded terribly from the top of the helmet. Then both his beloved father and his honored mother laughed. At once Hector took the shining helmet from his head and set it on the ground. Then he took his dear son in his arms, kissed him, and gently tossed him upward. And he prayed aloud to Zeus and to the other gods. "Zeus and all you other gods, grant that this my son may become, like me, outstanding among the Trojans, a great in strength as I am, and rule strongly over Ilion. And someday someone may say of him as he comes back from battle, he is far better than his father, when he returns carrying the blood-stained armor of a man he has killed, and his mother's heart will rejoice." So he spoke and placed the child in the arms of his beloved wife. She received him in her fragrant bosom, smiling through her tears. Hector saw this and felt pity for her. He gently stroked her with his hand and called her by name. "My poor Andromache, do not grieve so deeply in your heart for me. No man will send me to Hades before my destined time, and no man, whether coward or brave, has ever escaped his fate once he is born. But go now to your house and attend to your own work, the loom and the distaff, and direct the servants in their tasks. War will be the concern of men, of all the men of Troy, but especially mine." So speaking, glorious Hector took up his horse-haired helmet again. His beloved wife went back toward home, turning again and again to look behind her, shedding many tears. Soon she came to the well-built house of Hector, the slayer of men. Inside she found many servants, and her arrival stirred them all to mourning. So they wept for Hector in his own house while he was still alive, for they did not believe he would return again from the fighting alive, escaping the strength and hands of the Achaeans. Meanwhile, Paris did not linger long in his high house. When he had put on his splendid armor with its intricate bronze, he rushed through the city, trusting in the swiftness of his feet, like a well-fed stallion kept at the manger who breaks his tether and runs across the plain to his accustomed bathing place in the sweet running river, proud of his strength. He holds his head high, and his mane streams over his shoulders. Confident in his beauty, his quick knees carry him swiftly to the places he loves, to the pasture of horses. So Paris, son of Priam, came down from the heights of Pergamos, shining in his armor like the sun, laughing aloud as his swift feet carried him on. Soon he came upon noble Hector, his brother, just as Hector was about to leave the place where he had spoken with his wife. Godlike Alexandros spoke to him first. "Brother, I fear I have delayed you, though you were eager, by lingering too long and not coming as quickly as you ordered." Then Hector of the shining helmet answered him, "Strange man, no one who judged fairly could find fault with your courage in battle, since you are a strong fighter. But you hang back of your own will and do not wish to fight. My heart grieves when I hear the Trojans speak shameful things about you, though they suffer such hardship because of you. But come now, let us go. We will set things right later, if Zeus ever grants that we drive the well-grieved Achaeans out of Troy. Then in our halls we will raise a great wine bowl in honor of the immortal gods of heaven, celebrating our freedom." You're listening to Classics Made Clear, classic texts translated with accuracy and accessibility for today's listener. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share these videos with your friends.